Well, we're finally back. After a long hiatus, I'm finally making this video. Okay, the top 10 games I've played in 2019, part 2. Now we can finally move on to number 5. I know some people will see this and they'll be like, well, why did you add another wrestling game since you already had WWE 2K19 on the list? Well, that's because, as you can see with my recent uploads, that I really enjoy wrestling, especially this game. This game, when I first got it, it was about a couple of years ago, or maybe a year or two ago. Probably just a year ago. And I barely played it because I found it boring. And that was because I didn't know you could add other wrestlers from downloaded creations. I didn't know you could do that. But as soon as I got on that and I was like, oh my goodness, you can add wrestlers, I just didn't stop. Unfortunately, some of those wrestlers have DLC attached, and I want all that DLC, but I'm just not sure if it's going to be worth it. But even still, if the series were to end right now, which it might because my recording, I can't really record that well now, I would be still super happy with how it turned out, because I enjoyed making those videos. The time that I would spend on those videos was barely any at all, but I was still able to make really long quality content. Well, some people might say it wasn't up to quality, but I don't really care. I enjoyed making it, and I knew other people didn't care about it as much, but I will be able to look back at it and say, yeah, I made that wrestling stuff. And mainly, that's why this game is up on this list at number 5, because I grew attached to it just by making YouTube videos for it. And it was a great time making those videos. I'm not sure if the series will continue because there's a table, and we got a table that we added to the room where I record in. So I was actually able to put the beanbags on top of the table and record straight. But I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do that anymore because we removed the table from the room. It was temporary. So I'm not sure if that series will continue, which I know a majority of you don't care about in the slightest. You probably are like, oh, at least he'll make something quality now, which I am kind of with this video. But I can at least say, hey, I made those videos and I enjoy them, and that's all that matters. But that is what I say for this game. This game is really fun, and the wrestling mechanics are even better than the WWE games. It just has so much quality control, and you don't even reverse half the time. But yeah, guys, I enjoyed this game way too much. But, hey, let's move on. Let's go all the way to number 4. This was the year I was finally able to take the journey down to Rapture, and man, what a journey it was. Bioshock is a game where you get on a plane and you take a bit of an exploration to figure out your past, I believe, because you got a note that told you to take this plane. And after taking said plane, the plane crashes mysteriously. And you land at this random place, and you go inside, and there's this little tank that takes you underwater. And it takes you to the underwater city of Rapture, which was supposed to be a glorious thing built by the man named Andrew Ryan. But people ended up going a bit insane over this creation. In your left, it was a thing for your left arm. It was Adam. And Adam could have you do some weird stuff involving your arm. You could literally shoot electricity out of your hand against people. this ended up having a weird effect because Adam could also be. There were these shops that you could use Adam for, but you could only get a certain amount of Adam from these little girls who had been tested upon and stuff like that. These little girls, in the game, are protected by the Big Daddies. The Big Daddies are these huge hulking guys that have, well, some of them carry giant harpoon-like guns, and the main Big Daddy, which is well, they're all pretty main, but one of the look of the Big Daddy that everybody knows is the one where he has a drill on for one arm. And actually in Bioshock 2 you get to play as him. Now in my opinion, if Bioshock was... So I've heard negative things about Bioshock 2. I played a bit of Bioshock 2, thought it was really good and advanced on the combat. Didn't finish Bioshock 2 yet, but Bioshock I feel has the story. My goodness, Bioshock, Andrew Ryan is such a good villain. He is just, I don't even know how to describe Andrew Ryan. He just, you could tell he's a villain because he's confident, and he can even like call you scum while you're walking around and stuff. But he thinks he's like the high and mighty guy. And then there's the whole story of the game, which I will not get into. I do not really want to be the guy who spoils the game for you. But it has a really great and encapsulating story. The game does have some faults, which, in my opinion, as you see on screen right now, the hacking minigame, I don't care for the hacking minigame. It was super boring in my opinion. It took way too long. But they fixed that in Bioshock 2, where the hacking minigame is just this dial that goes back and forth, and you have to time it right. And if you time it wrong, then, well, you screw up the hack. But if you time it right, then, well, you successfully did the hack. Because it doesn't completely take you out of the gameplay. I feel like that hacking minigame does. Oh, goodness. But this game is just incredible. I enjoyed it immensely when I played it. And when I finished it, I was like, darn. I wish there was more of this. And then I went and played Bioshock 2, and I was like, man, I gotta finish Bioshock 2. Because Bioshock 2, I feel, has just better, like, gameplay assets. They kind of improved on the gameplay stuff. But with Bioshock 1, you have the story in general, because I explained a little bit where you go to Rapture, but then you end up meeting this man named Atlas, and Atlas hates Andrew Ryan. So you end up working with Atlas because he's kind of like this cool guy that's fighting the power and stuff like that. And I won't tell you the fate of Andrew Ryan or Atlas, but it's really good. It's a really good story. And I guess that's what I have to say about Bioshock. It's a really good game. The collection I bought for like $20, and that's 3 games. But I don't know, it's really good. So if you hear Bioshock and you're like, oh, that kind of interests me, I would get the collection. But not on the PlayStation Store. It charges you $60. The physical copy. Because the physical copy is only like $20. And it is worth it to show you a whole game series that I think... I haven't played in Infinite yet, but they all look really good to me. But anyways, guys, with that out of the way, on to the final 3, starting with number 3. The game A Hat in Time is simply amazing.
I enjoyed this game so much. And some people might be saying, well, why'd you put it ahead of games such as God of War and Bioshock? And that was because I can't even describe how much fun I had with this game. This game is just, it, it's really a good indie game, and it was just so well made. I'm really waiting for that DLC add-on stuff to drop for the PlayStation 4, because I just had so much fun with this game. The art style, the whole part of certain, like, there are so many varieties of worlds that you visit, such as the one that you're seeing right now is like the detective part, which is really just an add-on to a part about two birds having a war over which movie they made did better. And I love that. It was just so creative with what it did. And I don't know. It's hard to describe how much fun I had with this game. And I'm just really waiting for that DLC to drop because this game is just so good. It's well worth the amount of money it costs because it barely costs any money at all. And it will bring you so much enjoyment. It may have been a tad short, but they're adding stuff to it, and that's what I'm just waiting to drop, honestly. It's just such a good game with so many creative characters, just well thought out themes, a good villain, honestly, who isn't really, it's weird. The ending of the game, without giving anything away, is really amazing. It's so good. That's all I can really say about this game, is that it's so good. And honestly, that's about as much as I can say. And, yep. Now, before we go to number 2, I will tell you that number 2 and number 1 were really close ties. They were so close together, but I just had to rank one above the other. So now, without any delay, let's get to number 2. Mortal Kombat 11. Probably my favorite fighting game, which is really kind of hard to say. I have been getting into Tekken 7 lately, but Mortal Kombat is just so fun. I love this game series, and I got into it, well, it was kind of strange the way that I got into it. First, I actually bought one of those mini Sega Genesis things, and it had the original Mortal Kombat on it, along with 2 and 3. So I played that, and I really liked it. I thought it was a pretty good game, and I thought some of the stuff could have been tweaked, but overall it was a really good game. Then, Mortal Kombat Mortal Kombat X, but XL, as in all the DLC, was on sale, and I was like, I did like the original. I wonder if I'd like this. So then I got it, and I started playing it, and my goodness, I loved it. Mortal Kombat X was a really fun game. And then, when they announced that Mortal Kombat 11 was coming out, I was completely blown away. I was so excited. It was great. And then, waited a bit, and then finally, Mortal Kombat 11 came out. And I loved playing this game. I still play it. I've been playing it a lot. I enjoy a lot of characters. I main a lot of characters. I mainly play Sub-Zero and Gearus, which I know Gearus, oh no, it's that top tier character, but no, it's not the reason I picked him. The reason I picked him is because I could chain a lot of things together, and it was a lot of fun. But even still, this game was a lot of fun to me. It didn't have the crazy stuff that Mortal Kombat X had. It was more of like a kind of traditional like fighting game. Not as traditional as like Street Fighter, but like I don't know how to describe it. It's still a lot of fun though, and it introduced the new system of crushing blows and also fatal blows. And I love what they rearranged. Instead of having a meter that has you amplify all your moves, like, oh, you have a meter that you can either amplify your moves with or save up to a special attack, which barely anybody would use the special attack. Instead, now you have separate meters, and for your special attack, it happens when you get down to a certain amount of health. And I love that. They arranged so much stuff, and I just enjoy it way too much. And I love this game. But there was one other game that I put above this. Only one. And that game is number 1 on the list. So now, finally, to number 1. Ah, yes, the fabled Red Dead Redemption 2. Such an amazing game. Yep. Now I know some people have their opinions and say that this game, while it's really revolutionary, is not the best. But I can really see their point. But my problem is that I really love this game. I loved it so much that I still play it. And the main reason that I loved it was the story. My God, this game can tell you a story. The story of Arthur Morgan is incredible. And I do not want to spoil a little bit, even though you probably know what happens in the whole story. I do not want to spoil any of it, because this game is amazing. The attention to detail is just incredible. I loved it. Every second of it, I loved it. Now, sometimes I would just sit back and stare towards the mountains while I'm playing the game. Just because it was that great. You could just sit back and you'd end up staring at stuff. And you kind of drift off. That's how good this game looks. Like, you could walk, like, the mud, let's say in a town like Valentine. The mud, if somebody rode through it and several people walked through it, you could see what happened. It was just so good. And the game was just so amazing. I can't really say much more without spoiling any of it. I do see some people's gripes with the game, the same gripes that some people have with Grand Theft Auto 5, where at the bottom of the screen it tells you do thing, you go do thing, then after you do thing, then cutscene happen, then after cutscene happen, you go do thing, then it tells at bottom of screen. And I get that. I get that people are kind of annoyed, like, oh, so it's just telling you what to do. And I can just see that completely. And a lot of people think that the beginning of the game kind of drags on. I don't feel that way. I really love the beginning of the game. It really set things up, and I like that. It really taught you the controls and stuff. But I don't know. I really just stayed into it for the story, and now I've been playing it a lot on the online mode just for the gameplay, because the gameplay is really good. So much stuff you can do. My favorite thing is probably bounty missions, just because I enjoy it. And you can do it with friends. It's just so great. So that's why Red Dead Redemption 2 is my top game that I played in 2019. Thank you guys for watching the top 10 games part 2 I played in 2019. Now, this list should have come out a little bit before, but I didn't get many opportunities to work on it, so it got kind of pushed back. But hey, at least it finished and now it's out. So now my next video, I have to work on a little thing that Tud Elite told me to work on. Like when he told me to play Fortnite, now he told me to review all the Real Steel mobile games, so I'll be doing that. Thank you guys for watching this video, and you can subscribe, like, dislike, I don't really care. But see you guys in the next one. And now I'm going to stare out into the sun.